Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Ed, here at Edelgado from the Caramel Conservative, coming at you here live late on a Sunday night, Sunday fun day. I had actually intended to come at you here live a little earlier tonight. Um, didn't happen, obviously, but it is what it is. I like doing these shows late at night anyway. And then I flip them over to the podcast. Everything's on YouTube, it's on Library TV, LBRY.tv.com. So make sure you check it out. All the links are in the description down below. So, guys, I tell you, it's kind of crazy here. Let's just cover some things first. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff there. The other thing I want to bring up is, we are like 9 days away from election 2020, November 3rd. Make sure you guys get out there and vote. If you got people that haven't done early voting, anything else like that, encourage them. Get out there to vote. Trump 2020, that's where it's at. We are literally on the precipice of the abyss. We are staring into the abyss. And understand, folks, that when you stare into the abyss also stares back into you. And, well, you guys decide whether or not who's going to be up top or not. But anyway, something I wanted to bring up here. We are now, 5-6 days away from Halloween, trick-or-treating, all that other good stuff. What's STD? We got brother Joe Lozano here in the chat room tonight. What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight? But I wanted to get into this because we're a few days away from Halloween. And depending on your jurisdiction, some places have gone ahead and canceled Halloween. Other places have decided to go forward with it. Others have decided to do something called trunk or treat. And basically is, going up to somebody's car and pulling out candy from the trunk of their car. Not sure how that's different from trick-or-treating, but whatever. Another thing that's come up here, I'm going to get into this a little bit more because this is the danger of electing liberals. This is why anybody with a D behind their name should never have power again. These folks have lost their damn minds. And it's interesting because ever since COVID, this has given them an excuse to go ahead and enact these draconian rules and regulations. And I love it how people on the right like to say, well, it's a regulation or it's a guideline, so it's not a law. I think one of the things that people on the right tend to forget and tend to miss is the very fact that regulations have the force of law. Now, you need to understand that. Understand that a regulation is passed or given from an unelected bureaucrat, but the fact of the matter is this: it still has the force of law, in that if you violate it, you can face fines and penalties or jail time. So this is something that's important because there's individual bars, restaurants, stores that haven't complied with local, state mask mandates and other things and capacities and all that other garbage, but they are being fined accordingly. And whether they'll win if they challenge it in court, well, that's a whole nother story altogether. But the fact of the matter is that it would be easier for them to pay the fine than they have to go through all the legal process and the fees and everything else they get associated with it, and especially if they lawyer up. So, this is one of those things where how much money are you willing to sink into something such as this? But here in Wisconsin, we had our Governor Tony Evers. He had submitted this executive order number 3, limited the capacity of places to 25%. So if you have a limit in your establishment, and let's say it's 100 people, then your place could only have 25 people in it. Now, for places that do not have capacity limits in it as set by the fire department, you were limited to 10, and they included up to and including your home. Now, I don't know about you guys. For me, you don't get to tell me how many people I can have in my home. Whether I want to have one person or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. You don't get that. As government, you don't do that. See, I'm not looking for permission. And neither should you. And this is something that really just irks the hell out of me, especially since this whole COVID thing has broke out, because you got so many people talking about, well, government, we have to wait for what the government says. What is the governor going to say? What's the state going to say? What's the president going to? No. At what point do you stop asking for permission? Now, obviously, like I said, we have Halloween coming up. Certain places say we're not sanctioning, authorizing Halloween, trick or treating, all the other stuff. Okay, go trick or treating anyway. Why are you waiting for your local, state, community, county, town, village, whatever, to tell you that it is okay to go out and trick or treat? Just go do it. At what point did you forget in that beautiful gray matter in your head that it is we who tell the government what to do, not the other way around? And I think what COVID is giving these liberal politicians this idea that somehow that they can go ahead and tell us what we can't do, to what capacity we can do, how we can do it, guidelines, all this other stuff. Now I understand there's this whole pandemic business going on, but the fact of the matter is this: if you look at the CDC and you compare the number of flus from this week last year to this week this year, and you will find it is exponentially different. But no one's talking about that right now, right? Because apparently, somewhere in between 1 year ago, 364, 365 days last year to today, somehow we've magically cured the flu. Not sure how that really works. But it gets even more interesting, and I want to pull this article up here because this is where, we are in the holiday season. Like I said, we got Halloween, and now we got Thanksgiving, and then, of course, we'll have Christmas. This is why we can never have another liberal in office again. Take a look right here. This is Governor Gavin Newsom, California. Now you notice he's got his face mask on. He's got his nice little gloves on, but his nose is exposed. His eyes are exposed. Boy, he's just begging for COVID right here. But according to this story, and this is pjmedia.com, Governor Newsom's ridiculous COVID-19 Thanksgiving and voting restrictions are based in science. Now, California obviously at one point was a hotbed for COVID related illnesses and everything, especially toward the beginning. They have essentially been locked down for the longest time. Now, in this article here, and this is something that just came out today, but Governor Newsom apparently believes that he can pick and choose which rights you are allowed to exercise under the draconian COVID-19 restrictions. Not only do they make absolutely no sense, but the state is also deciding what rights take precedence over others. Now, as you guys are probably well familiar with the fact that they've had this ridiculous mask mandate running around all over the place. No matter what you do, you got to wear a mask. Well, it gets even better because according to the story here, exceptions are going to be made. So when you go out and vote and you're doing, at the voting polls and everything else, you don't have to wear a mask. Why is that? I mean, if the virus is what you claim that it is, if this is an extinction level event, you would think that you want to wear that mask no matter where you go, right? But let's juxtapose this to what's going to be coming down the pipe here, because as we've said, you can take the mask off while you're going to go vote, right? Okay, follow me here because it gets even more interesting. The California Department of Public Health defines a gathering. Oh, well, we're going to get into Thanksgiving here. So, however, the state will absolutely limit your right to associate freely, especially on the holidays. Here it comes. Maybe if you put a protest sign in front of your door this Thanksgiving, you can do as you please. The restrictions for gatherings have no basis in science and seem deliberately constructed to ruin your holiday meal. California Department of Public Health, CDPH, defines a gathering as social situations that bring people together from different households. If you will host one to eat turkey and generally stuff yourself, you better not include more than two other households because COVID-19 will know you're there. By the way, this is the smartest virus in existence because, again, if you're 6'1" it doesn't touch you. If you're 6 foot less, it might give you cooties. It doesn't affect Democrats when they're protesting, rioting, looting, but it affects Republicans and right-leaning individuals that go to peaceful assemblies and Trump supporting rallies. Yeah, I'm not sure how exactly that works. Anyway, this is what the guidelines are putting forward here for Thanksgiving. Now, I'm sure Christmas would be far worse here, but just, mark my words on that. All gatherings must be held outside. So understand that if you're going to have Thanksgiving, it has to be held outside. And you must have 6 feet of distance between members of different households. So me and my kid are there, we're going to be good. But if me and my children that live with my ex-wife, since that's a different household, we can't hang out together because it's different households. Okay. It gets better. There is no dining table in the world big enough to do this. I guess you can go to Walmart, grab a few more kiddie tables, and spread them around your yard, and then you can yell across space. Converse. Wait, when you get down to bullet number 7, yelling is not an option. See, this is one of those things. California doesn't want you. Highly suggest. So speak out, shout, sing, chant, none of that other stuff. And as far as passing stuff around, they don't want you passing around plates. They want you to actually change your hands, your gloves and stuff each time you pass a plate. As you see here, it goes, you see stuff there. And the new centerpiece is a big jar of sanitizer, a bottle on each table. Disposable dining ware is also required. And no passing plates will be set here between tables unless host or hostess sanitizes their hands between each tables. All participants, this is the best part right here. All participants must wear a mask and keep it on in between bites. Okay, now we've all heard of these restaurants. They say that if you're going to make the order, do it with your mask on. And then they deliver your food, you sit down, you start eating, and then they want you to put the mask on in between bites. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not really one to predict how I'm going to bite my food. Like, my food kind of comes into my mouth as I see fit. I'm not putting my mask up, putting it down, but doesn't it also fly into the face of the whole idea that you should not be touching your mask? I mean, maybe that's just me. I don't know. But it continues here. All participants wear masks. And then it continues further. This circus must all be accomplished within 2 hours. And you and your guests will turn into COVID-ridden pumpkins. Now, the author of this article here clearly is very cynical of this. But it is absolutely ridiculous to think that you're going to have a Thanksgiving dinner in a 2-hour period and subsequently go through all of these procedures and guidelines and everything else that you're talking about. The fact of the matter is that these kind of things are meant to control you, the public. It is meant literally to, well, like I said, I could tell you that it's for your safety. I could tell you that it is to reduce COVID, and we all need to do our part. But the bottom line is this: it is all meant to control you. And at what point do you say enough is enough? California, New York, Montana, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, Arizona. At what point are you all going to just say, you know what, enough is enough? You are not telling us how we're going to run our lives. You are not telling us what we can and can't do. You're not telling us how we can and cannot eat, or the procedure, or the steps, or anything else like that. We have gotten to the point now where there are people out here that are willing and want government to dictate and tell them how to do things step by step by step. In the past, conservatives have often said that liberals want government from cradle to grave. I don't think we necessarily intended it to be this idea that they were going to tell us how to do it, like step by step by step, like eat your food this way, drink your food this way, talk to people this way, walk around people this way. The thing that's really mind blowing about this is that when they talk about the spread of COVID in between individuals, they generally will be speaking about this in terms of you need to be kind of in close proximity to somebody for roughly around 15 minutes. Now, of course, that can change, but the fact of the matter is that 15 minutes and within close proximity. I don't know about you, but most Americans generally tend to have a 3 to 6 foot radius around them called personal space. Unlike many other cultures around the world, we tend to like our personal space. We like space between us, especially when we're talking to one another. So this idea that somehow everybody's going to be all up on everybody is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. So, like I said, ultimately it boils down to this. You're either going to capitulate and do everything the government says, you're going to look to them for guidance, you're going to live in fear, if you're going to call that living. I don't. But, God bless you if you do. And I don't think you will live a long, fruitful life, but that's just my opinion. Or are we going to live as free men and free women? Because at some point, we need to shrug off the shackles of these draconian measures that have been imposed on us since the end of March. 14 days is to slow the spread. Yet here we are 8 months later. Tell you guys, if you vote for anyone with a D behind your name, you deserve what you get. When you start complaining about your mental health issues, when you start complaining about how upset and depressed you are and how things are so much worse, you vote for Joe Biden, and this is the sign of things to come. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but Democrat governors in the last 7-8 months have shown us a picture of the future. You want this nationwide? Vote Joe Biden. We got 9 days to make the decision. On that note, guys, I'm going to check out here. I have to pretend to work tomorrow, but make sure you guys check in with us Tuesday night, 8 p.m. The Caramel Conservative Podcast will be on once again, so make sure you check our website, plusultramedia.com. And for those of you guys watching here, please make sure like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, especially if you're on YouTube, Library TV. Get all those notification bells, get all this information that we're putting out here. I'm trying to put out more content for you guys here. And like I said, I will check in with you guys Tuesday night. Make sure you guys take care. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. I'm out.